Let's try.
Theme music, that'd be awesome.
Right?
But we don't. But we're live anyway. And welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. This is episode 39, which I think I called Guns, Grannies, and Gestapo. So yeah, before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BitCot No Government License, which allows for the reuse, redistribution, and modification of this podcast by anyone and everyone except by governments, or by governments and the agents thereof. You can learn more about that at bitcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. Sausage Fest tonight. Yeah, just us and the skeleton crew. Lindsay doesn't count really because she's not on camera.
Yes, there's a female present.
She's just the anonymous female opinion.
The anonymous voice. I'll do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. She's gonna tell us how we're mansplaining and tell us about our white privilege and God.
Stop oppressing me with your cis white maleness.
Actually, I'm man-spreading right now.
I am too. You can't see it because it's under the desk, though. I'm not even wearing pants.
Yeah, my man.
There's some fucking privilege for you.
No pants privilege. Yeah.
That is 95 fucking degrees.
Hey man,
I can't run the air conditioner. I can't run the air conditioner during the show because it drowns everything out.
That sucks.
Oh.
So you're just like baking for 2 hours.
Like 2.5 hours because we got the pre-show and then we got some after show.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Jason,
true.
maybe if you didn't live in such a stupid state, you could just be closer to us and not be so hot.
You're just jealous of my no straw policy.
You can come and have straws where we live, man.
Yeah.
Fucking California. Oh,
Dude, I'm gonna like start shipping you crates of straws, and you can just start like black market dealing them shits. fuck the turtles, dude.
just get like just a big spool of tubing. It's 80% straws. It'll
66 and just cut off the end. It's an 80% straw. Get a 3D printer and make my own straws.
Well, dude, I made a post like I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I think it was. It said something about like how Civil War 2.0 was going to be like really fucked up. I was like, there's going to be like the commies or progressives are going to be charging over the hill with like a dildo in one hand and an EBT card in the other, getting mowed down while we're fucking dropping crates of straws behind fucking enemy lines. Shit. I was like, it's going to be the weirdest fucking thing ever.
The front line of the Civil War is going to be like entire cis straight white males, and they're just the left's going to have nothing. They can't into that.
We're all so superior.
They're just going to stand there and call you racist.
How would you even call out targets in that? Like, you see that guy? I'm sorry, I don't want to assume his gender, but that person, the over there.
They'll be staring down the fucking barrel of guns, like doing the Care Bear stare and shit.
Not a press tango, not a press tango. And for the one that's culturally appropriated.
Well, they won't even be able to actually use any military hardware because it's all like called Apache, Comanche, Black Hawk. And they'll just be like, no, we have to change all the names first.
It's cultural appropriation.
Oh my God, he's got an assault rifle. We coming at us with freaking flintlocks.
Like, that always killed me that they care about like the Redskins football team name, right? But they don't give a fuck that it's called like a Tomahawk missile or like like shit that's actually killing people.
Yeah.
As someone with a majority Native American culture, Native American heritage, I don't give a fuck about the name Redskins.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, most people who actually have anything to do with Native culture at all don't. I mean,
yeah.
Because why?
I grew up on the reservation, and I'm pretty sure I've never once heard anybody bitch about it.
Yeah, I'm saying Lindsay grew up on an Ojibwa reservation. Like,
it's just something to virtue signal about, and the people that are like, of like whatever, Native American heritage, they're like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't ask these people to speak for me.
Yeah.
Actually, primarily the problem.
Well, yeah, and it's normally like just the white dudes that are complaining, and it's like,
exactly.
Wait, are you just deciding you're going to take this away from them? Because I'm pretty sure we've been down this road.
Yeah, the cuckolds and the girls with the May I speak to your manager haircut.
Yeah.
God
damn it, Sharon.
And Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, Pocahontas.
God, she's actually gonna run in 2020.
Yeah, and I saw the Pocahontas Bernie Sanders. What did I call it? The Pocahontas crazy grandpa commie ticket.
Bernie Sandernista.
That girl, that lady's fucking psycho. You guys see the cost of Bernie's Medicaid for All plan?
Oh, it's
like
ridiculous.
Trillion?
Like 32, it was like 32.3 trillion over 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
we just cut costs to everything.
Yeah. So
we can afford Medicare for
3.2 trillion a year. 3.2 trillion a year for Medicaid for all. The budget last year was like 4.2.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. The national debt is less than that. The current national debt of the entire United States is less than the cost of his entire plan. Like,
his 10-year cost is more than the current national debt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Will we be going the way of like Venezuela or Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe or whatever?
Venezuela, you hear about?
Yeah,
you hear about Maduro's big speech the other day?
Yeah,
oh no!
Is
that the one where he admitted it was a failure?
Where he admitted that his economic model was a failure.
Yeah, but did you hear yesterday they tried to fucking drone assassinate him? Well, it
was come on! If there was ever a false flag, if there's ever a false flag,
exactly, dude.
There was a drone attack that was like 100 yards away. Right? I mean, like, come on.
No, it was totally them.
Those guys are they're on a shoestring budget. Cut them a break.
It was actually like just a Phantom 3 with like a bunch of paintballs. And
this isn't the United States where you can bring down 3 towers.
Yeah, I mean they couldn't afford a 9/11.
Exactly. So you got to go with drone, fake drone bombing or whatever.
What is it? What was the phone that kept blowing up? Like the Note 6 or whatever it was?
Note 7. Yeah.
Note 7. That's what it is that they bought some of those secondhand off eBay and
they just charged them up and flew them at
it. Dude.
Charged them up and threw them like grenades.
You ever seen that one meme of fucking? It's like Bin Laden and he like gets pissed off because it's like old school Nokia like. Starts like fucking up on him. So he like throws it and then like it hits the World Trade Center.
The old Nokia.
And he was like, "Oh shit!"
20s or whatever it is with the little bowling game.
Yeah.
It's phone, fucked the phone up, you can drop and it'll break ceramic tile in your kitchen, but the phone's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
my last phone, I looked at it wrong and the screen broke.
Right.
Well, if it was an iPhone, I mean, it's going to last all of about 6 seconds.
Oh, no iPhones. But thank you. I like my tracking the old-fashioned way. Oh. Let's see. I was going to bring up something else. I totally forgot what the subject was. Bin Laden family says Osama's youngest son went to Afghanistan to avenge his father.
Was he Inigo Montoya?
No. So there you go. There's the justification for continuing the Afghan war for like another 15 years.
Yep, now we got to hunt him down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm pretty sure he keeps hiding all these poppy fields. I think we got to.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you know what I mean. If they do get him, they're gonna have to bury him at sea with like no evidence of him ever like dying or anything.
Yeah, that's never happened.
Yeah, no. The Pentagon even admitted they don't have DNA evidence of him fucking being killed.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, I mean, anybody who knows anything about Navy SEALs knows that there is no possible way any Navy SEAL killed Bin Laden and didn't take pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Those fucking glory hounds, there is no way.
Well, not only that, why wouldn't you capture? Well, you would think you would like capture a target like that alive.
Well, supposedly it happened so fast. He came in the door and Bin Laden reached for the AK and then he shot him. And then somebody went, dude, do you know who you just killed? And he was like, oh my gosh. Like, you're telling me that you didn't notice that the dude who stood up with the AK was like 80 years old and over 6 feet tall?
Yeah, exactly.
6'5", 80 years old, big beard.
Yeah, like,
come on
there's
now.
no fucking way that you didn't immediately go, that's Bin Laden. And if you didn't, dude, I never want you in my unit because holy shit, is your target identification awful.
Yeah, right.
There were supposedly like 3 males at the compound, and the other males were like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, so 6'5". You can tell the difference. Come on now.
Yeah, that 6'5" Arab guy on kidney dialysis that managed to hide in those caves for years.
If you look it up, Fox News reported that he was dead in December,
like 2002 or something like that.
No, it was December 26th, 2001.
Yeah.
Like he died in London, or died in
Well, I heard he was scooped up by CIA in like Dubai, in a hospital in Dubai or some shit like that.
Dubai probably would actually be a really terrible place for him to have run because the UAE has always been very pro-West.
Yeah, but if he's on the CIA payroll.
Well, yeah, that's true. All they'd really need to do is show up and be like, hey, dude, need you to come in for some questioning. Don't sweat it. It'll be good. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
Why are you all sitting behind me? I don't understand. There's all this plastic in this room. What?
Well, then you got like the Bush family, Bush Sr. met up with the Bin Ladens like the day before or whatever at the Carlisle group meeting. So it's like they're all in on it, dude.
Yeah. This article says that Osama bin Laden died a peaceful death due to an untreated lung complication. The Pakistan Observer reported, citing the Taliban leader who allegedly attended the funeral of the Al-Qaeda leader. And that was 12/26/2001.
Yep.
Fox News.
Sounds pretty likely. That sounds way more likely because the guy was on dialysis for how many years? I mean, people in the United States with high quality medical care don't live that long on dialysis. So,
let alone get younger every time you put out a video.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's got it. It's a 1-up. It's an automatic 1-up.
Right? Is he gonna put out one every week? Then you watch that terror level alert go from fucking yellow to orange to red to fucking back to orange.
I'm picturing like the Zelda hearts.
Duct tape for the windows so the anthrax doesn't get in. You know what I mean? Like it never fucking ended.
Well, yeah,
the terrorists don't win.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Hands him a 737.
So speaking of government, which we talk about all the time, but I had no other really segue. Trump 2020, keep America great. Campaign flags made in China could be hit by the tariffs as trade dispute deepens. Yeah.
You can't make this shit up.
And to top this off, I gotta tell you guys this right now because Zero Hedge reported on it. You can look it up right now. Steven Seagal was appointed by Putin to fucking ease tensions between the United States and fucking Russia.
God.
Yes, dude.
I started laughing so hard because Steven Seagal, all of his movies are like a description of his job. Right? Steven Seagal is the exterminator. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I was like, Steven Seagal is Russian ambassador.
That's exactly how it is, dude.
He'll just come into meetings and just start roundhousing people.
Yeah. I was like, this is so ridiculous. The Onion couldn't even fucking write it.
I know. The Onion's given up. They've given it. You notice you don't see many articles from them anymore because the world has become satire. It's just the goddamn Stern Weasel. It was the Weasel in the Large Hadron Collider a few years ago.
I'm telling you, dude, back in 2012. All right,
the Mayans knew.
Back to the Chinese.
No, hold on. You brought up Russia, and I have to bring up this article real quick.
All right.
Okay.
This is from Politico with our buddy Marco Rubio on Sunday said he is willing to alter a bipartisan legislation bill that would automatically sanction Russia or another country for any future election meddling in order to get it passed. It's called the Deter Act, that would automatically sanction countries for interfering in U.S. elections. Because the U.S. has never interfered in another election.
Gosh, yeah, wouldn't it be terrible if maybe somebody were to, like, I don't know, drone assassinate political opponents of people that a foreign government supported, or I don't know, maybe like support rebels to instill a rebellion to overthrow them, or I don't know, like install a puppet government.
That would never happen in Egypt and Libya and Iraq and Pakistan and Somalia,
and like all of Central America.
All of Central America. Yeah. Noriega, like that totally didn't happen with like Manuel Noriega and
not at all.
Yeah,
Pablo Escobar. That like totally didn't happen. Pablo Escobar. Like the Sheikh of Iran, right before.
Yeah.
Before what's his face? Like he totally was not like a U.S. puppet installed in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Under a little program called Iran Contra.
Yeah.
Right. That totally didn't happen.
I was gonna say, like, I know what we could name this bill too. We could call it the Iran Contra bill. It'll be great. No more meddling in elections, you wily rascals.
But if you guys want to like talk like seriously in terms of domestic election interference, I mean, not only just on the ground level of like people voting multiple times, but like the CIA can, like it's proven through the Vault 7 leaks through WikiLeaks that they can hack whatever and then blame it on a foreign agent.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's I think what drives me nuts about it is, one, that there's so much evidence that like the Democrats who've been pushing this meddled in their own elections so heavily that they were the ones who were pretty massively in bed, and they still managed to lose, which also says a lot about how inept these people are, that you can rig an election and still fuck it up. Lose. You're really bad at this, man. Like, wow.
There's a book out by John Perkins. It was released in 2004 called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yeah, exactly.
I read that book. I love that.
I have video of it on YouTube.
I have a link. I have a link on one of the pages that I run to a PDF of it.
I mean,
they affected elections. Corporations affected elections in foreign countries through economics.
Oh yeah.
Like by helping certain families get rich and help defeating other families from getting certain contracts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a movie out just recently. It was like, what movie was that? I think it had Sandra Bullock and somebody in it. Yeah, I know that was specific. I want to say Billy Bob Thornton was in it. where that's basically what they do. They influence the Central American election. God, what movie is that? I'm trying to.
I don't know. Quit asking me. I don't know.
He does that constantly. Get used to it.
I need to know what movies she's been in here, and it's not being my thing is not doing what it should be. It's like just maybe it wasn't her. I don't know. Let me try Billy Bob Thornton here. I know it just came out, like it was just out fairly recently, and I was laughing so hard through the whole thing because I think it's actually based on that book. I want to say it's inspired by that book. I might be way off base. That's also possible, but
our brand is Crisis.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like
2015 film with 2002 Bolivian presidential election.
Yep.
And that was Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, that movie exactly shows you what the inside of that looks like too, where they're like intentionally manipulating a foreign election, and it's corporations, and not just any corporations. The biggest one that's doing it is the IMF.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the International Monetary Fund. That's like who? Yeah. I mean, that's just like one of the management arms of the central banking institution. You know what I mean? Because it's like the head of it's the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, and they're completely like have like global fucking immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't be touched.
There's the IMF bank in all but like Iran and North Korea.
Yeah.
And Syria threw theirs out, and I think Greece just threw theirs out.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Well, Greece is dying right now. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah,
Greece
absolutely.
is dying through their socialist policies. The U.S. is in a shadow war with Russia and Syria, and then who's the two threats to the U.S.? North Korea and Iran.
Yep.
Tells you right there.
Yep, exactly. And it's, I mean, anybody who thinks that when you have the kind of money that the IMF has at its disposal, hold on.
Not only the kind of money that they have, but the fact that they issue the money.
Yep.
Yeah, and control the fucking interest rates and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They control the whole fucking game. Not only the money issued to play the game, but the whole entire game.
It's the world is being run by Moriarty.
Yep. Well, Gordon Cherry says feet, whatever that means. FEET. Paul Gordon, Polly.
Oh.
So, all right, let's get back to the Trump thing. I have to read the headline again because I can. Trump 2020, keep America great. Campaign flags made in China could be hit by tariffs as trade dispute deepens.
The irony of that is fucking ridiculous, dude.
It's funny the second time, yeah.
His tariffs are going to interfere with his own election materials. That,
Yeah.
Like, you ever seen that meme where fucking like Tom, like it's a Tom and Jerry meme, and he's like sticking the shotgun through the wall
and it goes through the wall and comes back, points at him, yeah.
Yeah, that's it's exactly what I thought of.
The red, white, and blue banners for President Trump's campaign for a second term that are ready to ship are embezzled with the words "Keep America Great," but they're made in Eastern China and could soon be hit by the punitive tariffs of Mr. Trump's own making as he deepens a trade dispute with Beijing. At the Dahao Flag Factory in Anhui Providence, women at the sewing machines hemmed the edges of Trump 2020 flags the size of beach towels while others fold and bundle them for delivery. According to the manager, I'm not going to try to pronounce her name, the factory has produced about 90,000 of them since March. It's an unusually large number for what is normally the low season, and Yao believes the China-U.S. trade war is the reason. Trump administration imposed tariffs on $34 billion worth of. Okay, this is an old article from July 25th. They're up to like $200 billion now.
Damn.
The campaign banners highlight a paradox in the China-U.S. relations under President Trump. At about $1 a piece, even suppliers to the Trump campaign, who Yao says are both in China and abroad, can't resist the low prices. Well, why are the domestic prices so expensive?
Yeah. And it's the whole thing with the tariffs too, is it's just like, okay, show me on this doll where the trade deficit hurt you. Like, yes. Well, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yao's factory has been making Donald Trump banners since his tagline was "Make America Great Again," and she says business has been great since 2015.
Make Eastern China great again.
Yes, make Eastern China great again. Yeah. But this absolutely highlights, even with the tariffs, it is cheaper to produce the flags in Eastern China. But it's China's fault that their goods are so inexpensive, according to Trump.
I don't even follow the logic. Like, I'm still trying to figure out where the logic is, and like, because I feel like 35 years ago that whole trade deficit conversation went off the rails, and no one's actually asking the question again of, but why does it matter? No one's like saying that. I mean, even the left isn't saying that. Everyone's just going.
They don't
with
care
it.
about anything.
Even before that, even like we can even take the trade deficit discussion off the board. Like, even if that was 50-50, I mean, even if it was totally even 50-50, even then it would still be cheaper to produce in China because of U.S. government interference in the marketplace here. Yep. Right, through taxes and bureaucracy and regulations and the red tape, and you have city taxes and regulations and county taxes and regulations and state taxes and regulations.
Well, what does that say if it's cheaper to make it in China, which is an actual literal fucking communist country?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, but it costs more to make it here.
Which farm was it? It was one of the chicken farms in the U.S. that it's a mass produce. It's not Foster Farms. It's one of the other ones, but they're like a factory farm. They produce billions and billions and billions of pounds of chicken per year. Yep. It's cheaper for them to ship birds to China, have them butchered, and then ship back, than it is to actually have them butchered here in the U.S.
I can't eat. What the hell?
What plays into this exactly? Like the standard of living, the cost of workers. Obviously, that plays a role in it, right?
Well, even if China with low standard of living and low wages and the dollar to yen ratio.
Yep.
Why is it so expensive here?
Yeah,
that's everybody's arguing about the cart, and they're not arguing about the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everybody's arguing about the ride, and they're not worried about the reason.
Everything is fucking regulated to death. It's ridiculous.
Not only regulated to death, but it's regulated and double and triplicate and quadruple it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, city, county, state, federal. I mean, that's quadruple it. And then on top of that, you got EPA standards, and then you got like here we have the Bay Area Air Quality Management Board, right? And then you have all these other environmental regulations on top of that, and then you have like labor laws and OSHA and it's like the barrier to entry.
It never fucking ends, dude.
No, the barrier to entry and creating jobs in the U.S. and factories and any sort of business at all. The barriers to entry are incredible. Like, you cannot have a lemonade stand without a fucking permit.
Yeah, that's insane.
300, like in some places, it's a $300 permit to have a fucking little kid lemonade stand. And people wonder why it's cheaper to buy things in China, and Japan, and Taiwan, and Malaysia, and all that other shit.
Well, and what is it? Is it Taiwan? No, it's where is it that has that, like, just a ridiculously free
Hong Kong? Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Well, Hong Kong, and I want to say Taiwan, too, has just like a super free economy where you can basically, you want to start a business, okay, set up shop.
Yeah.
End of economic regulation on it. Just that's it. There's no barrier. And so while our quality of life, America statistically has gone down in recent years, theirs just keeps climbing steadily because, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work for me. And so I'm just gonna. I mean, there's that kid that just got shut down mowing lawns because he didn't have a freaking permit. The kid was mowing lawns. Who was he hurting?
Right. And
I mowed lawns without a permit when I was like 14 years old.
Yeah.
I delivered papers on a motorcycle without a driver's license, without a helmet, without a permit.
Nice.
And that was only in the late 1980s, early 1990s.
No shit.
Like, yeah. And James Butcher said it's amazing. It's amazing that we produce anything here. Yeah. I mean, it's some things you have to produce here, especially like food things, because the expiration.
Yeah.
The shelf life and whatnot, you have to produce here. But like anything like manufacture wise, the only reason that like Detroit had so many automotive companies, automotive producers and things like that, is because of the tax breaks. Because they got tax breaks, because they got regulation breaks. They got huge government handouts. And like that, like tax, it's hard. It's hard to talk about. I get excited about it,
insane. What's insane about that too is like when we brought Foxconn to Wisconsin, and so Foxconn's going to be opening up a big factory here, and the leftists here in Wisconsin were all yelling and screaming that Foxconn was effectively stealing money from the people of Wisconsin because they're getting a bunch of tax breaks to open up a factory. How is that stealing?
The logic, dude. What the fuck?
Because they're not getting as much money stolen as other people. That's tantamount to stealing.
Yeah, because they have a smaller gun pointed at them. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's just absolutely absurd. And what's frustrating is even Walker, Governor Walker, and the Republicans and the Libertarians, we have a few in the state Senate, none of them wanted to just straight up admit that, well, they're not stealing, and just say, well, it's because they're just being stolen less from. None of them wanted to admit, well, but this isn't taking money out of the pockets of any. Nobody wanted to touch it because that would require admitting that taxation is theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course not, because
you can't do that.
You can't have government without taxation.
Of course not.
Right. So.
Well, when they say the budget is like whatever, it's like, say the budget's like $4 trillion or some shit, right? It's like, yeah, it's gonna cost you guys $4 trillion. We're just, buying toys with your fucking money.
Yeah, what is this year? Like this year alone, they're on course to spend like 4.55 trillion, I think. Right. Well, the tax revenue. Right. The tax revenue brought in is only like 4.1.
Yeah.
Right. So that leaves like $400 billion in natural deficit. Right.
Yeah.
But
well,
then on top of that, the Trump administration is on pace to borrow like $837 billion.
Well, you got to pay for that Space Force, dude.
Fucking Space Force. That's what happens. That's what happens when they find oil on foreign planets.
I actually have the seal for the fucking Space Force. It's like official, like from the government and shit. I'll send it to the fucking the group. I was laughing. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude?"
Who was there? I was reading something. I think it was Mike Pence. Mike Pence tried to justify the Space Force by saying that we need it to protect us from asteroids. Asteroids and meteors or something like that.
Is there like an imminent alien invasion we don't know about? So we need a Space Force?
I thought they were all aliens according to some of the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah, the fucking lizards.
The alien lizards.
Yep.
What was that? What was that guy's name?
Or I mean reptilians. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think Zuckerberg might actually be secretly just a giant lizard in a human suit.
Yeah, you think he is, dude?
I don't care. All right, speaking of government, family takes down grandmother's wheelchair ramp under pressure from the county. The family of a 91-year-old Maryland woman says the Prince George's County government pushed them to remove her home's wheelchair ramp. In a GoFundMe page, the family says Evelyn Strahl, who they refer to as the matriarch of their loving family, is wheelchair bound, and without a ramp, she is homebound. Strahl's eldest son, Bob, constructed the ramp for his parents. Strahl's front porch is steep, which is, quote, treacherous to any elderly person, the family writes on their GoFundMe page. Quote, leaving her home for even a short time was nearly impossible due to the danger of the steps. The family set up, quote, Ramp for Grandma campaign, and the county told the Stalls to remove the ramp. Bob built the ramp, not realizing that he needed a permit from Prince George County's government. Quote, the ramp was a dream for Evelyn and her husband, David. She no longer needed medical transport for appointments. No longer trapped by the prospect of never leaving the home, she was mobile and finally had freedom. Unfortunately, the dream was short-lived. Shortly after construction, PG County officials left a notice on the door saying the ramp was in violation. Mary Cunningham, Deputy Director of Permits, Inspections, and Enforcement in the county, told CBS that the notice that a notice is issued anytime there is, quote, a non-permitted construction. The notice said do one of two things: obtain a proper permit or return the property to its original condition. This is standard in building codes for any district. Bob asked the county for a waiver on the ramp. His request was denied, according to the family. Yeah.
That's fucked up, dude.
Hoping for minimal complications, Bob tried to reason and paid the $150 to begin the process of the permit for the ramp.
Jesus.
$150 for a permit to build your 91-year-old grandmother a wheelchair ramp to her house on her property.
Right, because it's never truly your property; it's their property. You're just paying them periodically.
Exactly, that's the difference between
you're renting
and allocatable titles and yes, that is like they're going to regulate a wheelchair ramp for a 91-year-old wheelchair-bound woman.
Yeah, like how much of a dick do you have to be to enforce that?
Yes, and after and what happens?
You know
what happens?
I mean?
What
like,
happens?
Come on, dude.
What happens if they don't take it down? What happens if they saw the permit and said, "Fuck your permit"?
Oh, they're probably gonna, like break her fucking hip and like
they're gonna come out with
the
people.
fucking car.
They're gonna come out with the police. They're gonna issue a bench warrant for violating that.
Well, how's she gonna get out of her house to attend court if she doesn't have a wheelchair ramp? Ha! Joke's on you, fuckers.
Oh, got him.
Oh, they'll send people with guns to your home over a wheelchair ramp for a 91-year-old wheelchair-bound lady.
They'd probably forcibly remove her. Seriously, like
they would forcibly remove her.
It's fucking ridiculous.
They'd have to helicopter from her front porch because you can't go down the steps.
Yeah, right. It's like when they kept arresting that dude in fucking Florida for feeding the homeless people, and he was like a 80-something-year-old vet.
Yeah, like a church deacon or something like that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like they don't give a fuck, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't care if you're like 80 or 90. Like, they'll be like, fuck you, whatever. We're just doing our job. I don't write the laws. I just enforce them. If you have a problem with them, go see your representative.
Yeah, and then
you suck my dick, dude.
And then these same conservatives and these same right-wing people that agree with us that this is bullshit still believe that the same police who are willing to enforce that wouldn't enforce gun laws and gun confiscation.
Oh, they totally would.
They enforce gun confiscation every single day.
Oh, yeah.
every single day. Every unlicensed concealed carry, illegal gun, magazine capacity, loaded firearm in a vehicle, blah blah blah. Those are all gun confiscation bills. They're enforced every single day by police across the country.
My county where I live is like the only county that I've ever heard of where the sheriff actually defied the governor and told him to go fuck himself.
Oregon has a few like that. California has one in El Dorado.
Yeah, like
Dorado County.
That's cool because I mean they're like, you know, a sheriff is like constitutionally elected or whatever, so he can like, you know, decide what's right for that like county essentially. You can like disobey laws.
Illinois recently had a bunch of sheriffs and county commissioners and county councils actually declare themselves damn it, I completely lost the word now. Gun sanctuary counties.
Yeah, they said that they're essentially conscientious objectors to it and that they were going to exercise their right under checks and balances. And that's the thing is I don't even like the Constitution. I think the Constitution is a load of bullshit. But it was written with that in mind, with the idea that the executive branch, which the police are supposed to be part of, has every right to say, no, I'm not going to enforce this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like by saying, if you're a police officer and you say, well, I don't write the laws, I just have to enforce them, you are literally abdicating your constitutional duty to be a check and balance to the legislative branch.
Yeah, and that's just a legislative action. That's not even the moral aspect of all that stuff. Yeah,
that's a whole other side of it.
I'm not even touching the moral thing. I'm just saying, like, from arguing to a status, somebody who still believes that, they are literally, by saying, well, I don't write the laws, whether I like them or not, I got to enforce them, they are actually abdicating their duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So you still can't support them. You still got to believe that they're
an accessory to tyranny, dude.
Exactly.
Yep. You know, well, I didn't push the Jews into the oven. I just helped get them on the train. That's what it is.
That's the thing is, remember, 99% of everybody who participated in the Holocaust were functionaries. They didn't pull any triggers. They didn't push anybody in any showers and turn on any gas. They were functionaries. They were pencil pushers. They were people just doing their job to just go home the next day.
That's how shit gets done.
Good segue. 80-year-old medical marijuana patient with expired card jailed for less than an eighth of an ounce of cannabis. There's your freedom, America.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
If it pleases the crown, might I have a few days to renew my permit so that I might maintain my medication?
Yep. An 80-year-old grandmother.
But wait, hold on. Before you start, I thought that like once your permit like ran up, like your weed just automatically like disappeared.
Oh yeah, like when your driver's license expires and
exactly.
Like, you just
can't operate a vehicle anymore. Yeah,
because you forgot how to drive. Yeah. So this is out of Michigan. 80-year-old grandmother in Clare County was jailed for the first time in her life because she had a small amount of cannabis at home where her Michigan marijuana card had expired. Dolores Saltzman and her son Mark tell Fox 17 cannabis saved her life. God damn it, this stupid fucking phone. Article collapsed twice now. It worked up her appetite when she was sick, helped her heal after surgeries, eased her pain from ongoing health conditions. They are disturbed. A deputy jailed her overnight for using her medicine. Quote, after I smoke, I go down to a 1 pain-wise. Before I smoke, I would say I'm an 8 right now. Dolores Saltzman, 80 years old. All right, I'm going to fucking throw my phone in a second.
Angry Jason's so hot.
Yeah. This November, Saltzman turns 81. She lives with arthritis, navicular muscle and bone aches, but she says cannabis keeps Cannabis helps keep her moving and making art. This is a little piece of paper I work with. It's called quilling. Cannabis saved my life because I had a bad bleed for about 4 years ago. Mark took care of me, and the doctors prescribed her opiates. It caused stomach pains. All right, I'm fuck this stupid article. I'm just okay. So yes, 80-year-old grandmother with arthritis and diverticulitis and bone and muscle issues, jailed overnight for less than 1/8 of an ounce.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. I mean, we're talking like $20 worth of cannabis.
That is just what kind of a person is willing to enforce that?
Yeah.
Just doing my herb. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's fucking ridiculous. It's like the same thing with the wheelchair ramp. It's like when do you just like where does your conscience kick in and say no, I'm not going to do this?
It just.
Or is it like they just like find people without a conscience and just say, hey, here's a badge?
That is what they do. They find idiots with no conscience, and that's what they go after.
June 13th at 9 p.m., Clara County Sheriff's Deputy Ashley Gruno knocked on Dolores' door. According to court records, Gruno was trying to locate Saltzman's great-granddaughter and return her lost phone and ID. That's when the deputy smelled marijuana from Saltzman's porch. The deputy asked whose it was, correct? Saltzman asked his mother. Right, and I told her it was mine, Saltzman said, explaining that she was honest with the deputy. The deputy came in and kind of frustrated you. Remember, now you're telling me that your anxiety went up to the roof. Okay, but there's a conversation between the mom. Court records show the deputy seized several pipes, 4 joints, and 1 purple jar with an undisclosed amount of cannabis. When Fox 17 asked Saltzman how much marijuana she had, she explained that it was less than 1/8 of an ounce. Yeah, that's your land of the free, you guys.
What kind of a person, and especially you're in a state where medical marijuana is legal.
Mm-hmm.
So why does it matter whose it is? Why do you care? Why are you still trying so hard to arrest people over having a plant? Why are you trying so hard?
And what state was this?
Michigan.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, like even like states like New York, it's decriminalized so that it's like only a violation, like up to an ounce, if you get caught with it. So it's just like the same as like getting a speeding ticket or something.
Yeah.
And they just take the weed or whatever. But yeah, I mean it's legal medically, but the legal like system sucks dick. Like they don't even have like smokable weed. Like it's all edibles or tinctures or oils or whatever.
Well, that's what it is here. Is I can legally possess up to an ounce recreationally. I don't have to have a marijuana. I don't have to have a card or anything.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it should be.
Well, and that's in Wisconsin, it's not legal. We just finally semi-legalized CBD oil here, but
only for seizures.
Yeah, only for seizures. But we did finally at least get that direction. But in La Crosse, the city that I live in, they actually passed a law here where it's now only a city ordinance violation to give the police the option that they can, if they catch it and they don't want to fuck with it, they can just basically write down it's like a $25 ticket and send them on their way.
That's what Pittsburgh did also. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They recently passed that same sort of ordinance, and I think the fine there is up to $100.
Yeah, it's about what it is in New York. Last time I got hit with one.
Yeah, for the most part, the cops here actually really embrace that law. We're really happy about it because they're like, good, I can actually maybe do something that's worth my time.
Exactly, dude. It's like it's so much like useless fucking paperwork that they have to do that they're probably just like, you know. I mean, like that's why I don't understand why they like try so hard. It's like you're making more work for yourself.
Well,
dude.
it's low hanging fruit. It's low hanging fruit. It's easier to bust somebody for marijuana than it is to I don't know, test a rape kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many rape kits go untested, and we're throwing 80-year-old women?
Houston, I think it was Houston. Like Houston had so many rape kits in storage that they were getting mold on them.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Like it was on the outside. It wasn't on the inside.
Yeah, but still, it's disgraceful, dude. Huh? Like you think that would take like fucking priority over fucking arresting people for weed? Like actually do some crime fighting, guys.
Well, and this woman, it's not like this was even recreational either. This is legitimately a medication for her. This is a fucking medication that she was prescribed and given a card for. But because she didn't renew it and keep up on it, now magically it's
illegal.
Wrong. Like what?
You crossed the threshold.
Well, that's what it is she didn't pay for her freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
It's fucking magic, dude.
She was on a government rumspringa with their permit. As soon as the permit expired, she had to go back to the farm.
It's absolutely. I really don't understand. I don't understand what kind of a person can possibly pretend that they're even remotely moral in any way, shape, or form, and then do that.
Yeah.
You can't. You absolutely cannot, and they will justify it through legality. They'll justify it through the loops. It's illegal, blah blah blah. So that makes it okay. Well, no, being illegal does not make it okay. What is legal and what is moral are often different things.
Well, all you got to ask is, did she do harm to anybody?
Yeah, who's hurting?
Who's the victim? Like, who's the victim? Who's going to stand up in court and say who's the victim? Like that person hurt me.
Yeah.
Right. An 80-year-old woman or what was that? 81-year-old lady in a wheelchair. Like who did the ramp hurt?
Yeah.
Like who did this lady's an eighth of an ounce of cannabis? Who did that hurt?
You know, all those dangerous octogenarian potheads running around murdering people.
Is that where all that Earl Grey tea comes from?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Like, I have yet to hear like a story in the newspaper where like somebody smoked weed and went on like a fucking murder rampage.
Because who's gonna do that? You're not gonna.
That happens every night at Pizza Hut.
It would be too weird, man. Like, what the fuck? You'd be like, no, I can't do this right now. Like, what's going on right now, man? I'm like, put the knife down, bro. Like,
well, you know what really happens is when people smoke too much and they start listening to jazz music and then they start intermingling with colored people and.
Yeah. We cannot have all those white women dancing with those colored folk.
Yeah, man. It's
well, that was a really good Mike Pence impersonation. That was gold. Like I'm happy. Like I gotta follow the Ben Stone logic on this one and not wanting to give government more of your money, right? And that's what it is when it's legalized, right? Through taxation and whatnot, you're giving the government more money. And I don't want it legalized. I want it decriminalized. I want it to not be regulated at all. But the other part of me is, I know it's an appeasement. I know it's a government appeasement. And I know that the mega corporations in the pharmaceutical industry, they don't necessarily want it legalized so that they can keep profiting off oxycodone and Vicodin and things like that. But I'm kind of glad when it is legalized in different states and when it will eventually be legalized nationally.
Well, because not everybody has
that my friends aren't going to jail.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't exercise freedom from a cell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, and to put in perspective, and I realize like guns are always my thing, but I'll bring up the 1968 machine gun amnesty, right? which most people are really not familiar with, don't understand. But basically, 1968, what had happened is remember, in 1934, the NFA was passed, the National Firearms Act, that said that you can't import machine guns. You can't buy machine guns without special permits and everything else, background checks and blah, blah, blah. Well,
that
then
was in response to the gangsters and
right, and mostly the Thompson
and all
machine gun, admittedly, was the big one. But and the BAR. But so World War II rolls around, speaking of Thompson and the BAR, and all of these vets that go to World War II, they ship home all these machine guns.
Yep.
Nambu machine guns, they ship home a lot of bolt actions, but a lot of you get Gewehrs, the MG42s, MG34s, big heavy Maxim machine guns, all this stuff that they ship home. And so now there's tons and tons of unregulated machine guns floating around. And nobody's getting actually hurt with any of these things, really, but the government wants to know where they all are and decides, because there are so many and so many people ignored the law, that so that they could know where they all were, they were going to pass in 68 this amnesty thing. And it happened in November of 68, and they gave everybody like 4 to 6 months, something like that, of advance notice, and said, look, any machine gun you have, you can bring in and register. You fill out this paperwork during this period, like this 1 month period, November of 1968. You fill out this form, you send it in, and you have complete amnesty. It doesn't matter where it came from, doesn't matter how you got it, nothing. You get full amnesty on this thing. And so they just said, okay, well, we're just not going to enforce it for 1 month, and then we just want to know where they all are. Well, a lot of people didn't do it, but a lot of people did, including like one that I know of where the guy literally had just stolen it from the United States military in Vietnam like 2 months prior.
Nice.
He brought it home, a brand new M16A1, and registered it under the amnesty, so it's completely legal now. He can't be prosecuted.
Nice.
There's another one that I've seen, a stolen M16A1 that somebody literally ground the serial number off and then manually engraved a new one to register it under.
Nice.
There's another story of a guy who literally bought like an entire crate of like Sturmgewehrs. In like an entire crate, like the day before the amnesty started. They were blatantly illegal. They had been stolen out of like a U.S. military capture thing. Took them all and immediately registered them. So now he can't be prosecuted. There's another one where there are felons. There's actually about 30 felons who had machine guns who were able to register them under the amnesty and now can't actually be prosecuted for having those guns. But what's important to remember is with all of this stuff happening, they're all legal now. And while I don't want them to be registered or anything else, the fact that that happened means that all of these guns, which hadn't hurt anybody, are still in circulation now. They're all out there. And guess how many people that they've been used to hurt? Zero. None of these guns has ever hurt anybody. Yeah. And so not enforcing that law did nothing. It didn't end the world. It didn't hurt anybody. Why aren't people pushing harder for marijuana to be treated exactly the same? To just go, nope, amnesty right now. Yeah. Like, just forgive absolutely every drug conviction for marijuana, even if you don't want to go after the hard drugs. Although I support the recreational use of cocaine. Legalization. Oh, but I mean, all of these people should really, rather than pushing for let's tax it, let's regulate it, let's blah, 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 how about we just push for just amnesty? Because we've done it before with machine guns and no one died. So I think exactly. If we do it with marijuana, maybe that might be a model that we should go after here.
Yeah, and marijuana's never killed anyone.
Yeah. No one's ever died from marijuana.
Not unless you got hit with a bale thrown over the wall or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've killed many a fucking pizza, but other than that, like, you know what I mean?
I have fucked up some Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah.
Anything pretty much.
Those poor free-range burritos.
I mean, I've fucking, like, physically accosted my fucking refrigerator in, like, 3 in the morning and
shit. Slamming the door because there's no chocolate in it.
Yeah.
Cussing out the imaginary donut fairy because she didn't bring you any.
So many bags of Funyuns, man. So many bags of Funyuns. It was a massacre.
There was one summer that Subway knew me by first name.
I walked into a Subway once, and a buddy of mine was literally buying them out of cookies.
Nice.
I mean, like right away the day like, when they opened up, they had the whole thing full, and he just bought them all.
That's fucking dedication, man.
It's gonna be a good
You're like
day,
waiting for him to unlock the door in the morning and shit.
Yeah, he was like I went in there for a sandwich. I started work at like 5 a.m. So I went in there for a sandwich at like 9:30 in the morning, like right after they opened, and he's already in there with just a pile of cookies in his hand, and they're shoving them into a bag for him. And it's just, like, how you doing? He's like, pretty good.
About to be doing a lot better.
Exactly. Way better. Now all we need is like Wilford Brimley to pop up and say diabetes.
Diabetes.
Oh. Speaking of that, how about we go on to talk about Ross for a minute?
All right.
Ross Ulbricht, you guys know him. You know, the alleged Pirate Bay. You know,
Yep.
Yeah, he was thrown in jail for all sorts of BS that didn't have anything to do with. Let's see if I can find the charges of this one. Okay, they're not in this article, but it was like selling drugs and money laundering and a couple of things, right? And he was hit with the kingpin charge, right? They called him that he was a kingpin of a chemical or of a criminal conspiracy and all this blah blah blah, right? One of the things in the sentencing, one of the things that the judge used in the sentencing was that Ross was also facing charges in a murder for hire plot in a separate case. Right? So this is a separate case. This is in Baltimore. The other case that he was a federal case. The court was happening in New York. Right, and the judge used the murder for hire charges to justify the double life sentences plus 20 years. Right. Well,
the most superfluous sentencing ever. I think after you throw down life, I don't really think you need any more than that.
Yeah. Ross Ulbricht's murder for hire charges dropped by the U.S. attorney. Having reported on Ross Ulbricht's prosecution since the beginning, I found. Oh, Dan.
Oh, we lost Dan.
Sorry, Dan. Bye, Dan. Rejoin us when you get a chance, Dan. Let's see. I believe his life sentence without parole for acts connected to launching the dark web sales site Silk Road was because he was convicted for attempting to pay for the murder of people who had stolen. Okay, Dan said he'd be right back. Something got messed up. Silk Road was because he was convicted for attempting to pay for the murder of people who'd stolen from or threatened him. That's not true. Such charges were not part of the crimes that he was actually committed or actually convicted for. The waters were muddied almost certainly with cold deliberation by the federal government because they had a separate indictment out of Maryland hanging over him for the past nearly 5 years that did include such accusations. Last week, Robert Hur, U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, filed a motion to have the indictment containing those charges dropped. Quote, Mr. Ulbricht's conviction and life sentence in the case handled by the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York has been affirmed by the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Second Court, and the Supreme Court has declined to hear the case. Hur said in a written statement, we have dismissed the federal charges based on the same conduct pending against Mr. Ulbricht in Maryland, which allows us to direct our resources to other cases where justice has not yet been served. Her statement contained an important misleading element. It Is it true that Ulbricht serving his ridiculous punitive sentence based on, quote, same conduct as in the dropped indictment from Maryland? The indictment included a charge of attempted witness murder and many lurid details of the specifics of his alleged involvement in the case. He never actually committed the murder or torture. These charges were not part. These charges had no part of what Ulbricht was actually trying to sentence for. So, yeah, the charges were dropped after the Supreme Court declined to hear Ross's appeal for the case in which he was convicted.
Yeah, they waited. They waited to drop them, knowing that they weren't going to get a conviction, knowing that it was bullshit. They waited until they were sure that he wasn't going to somehow get out of his existing conviction. And I think the fact that the judge factored it in with his sentencing says a lot about the bullshit behind the innocent until proven guilty. Because he clearly already considered him guilty of it, and that's why he considered it in the sentencing.
Yeah, money laundering, computer hacking, conspiracy to traffic narcotics. That's what he's convicted of, and for that they gave him double life sentences, plus 20 years.
All because he started a marketplace that the government couldn't regulate.
Yes, because there was no taxes, and he was selling things that the government didn't like. And I'm trying to find the judge, the judge's statement.
I mean, that's utterly horrifying. Like, think about that you could be charged with something else, have that pending. They haven't proven it yet, but it's still going to affect a current case.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's not only is it ridiculous, but again, it's illegal and immoral to consider sentencing on one crime while taking in the alleged crimes for which he had not been convicted in another case. Right? That's like if somebody's on court for stealing, they're not going to take into account the alleged charges that had been filed in, DUI. Right? I mean, they're not part of the same case. So how can you take into account the other charges in a different case?
Well, and think about how dangerous a precedent that is, because now what that says to a prosecutor is if they want to hedge their bets on somebody, all they got to do is charge them with something, whether they can prove it or not, charge them with something else that's bad, and then the judge will consider that and go, oh, well, they're also being prosecuted for this. So I guess you must be a terrible person. So this is the sentence I'm going to give you. It's going to be the max that I can give you.
Yeah.
I mean, and also consider how horrifying it is, the idea that you could get a life sentence for trafficking drugs.
With no victim. With absolutely no victim.
You didn't actually hurt anybody at all. At worst, you were moving a plant or moving a chemical substance around. That's all you were doing. And you can be thrown in prison forever?
Yeah. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Like he'll never see the light of day again. Like he went to jail. He was like, I think 25, 26 years old. So he hurt nobody. But he has to spend the rest of his life A, in a cage, and B, the taxpayers have to pay to keep him alive that entire time.
Yep. Well, and it's not. I mean, and he wasn't even convicted as actually doing the crime. He was convicted under conspiracy laws.
Yes. So
he was convicted and then sent to prison forever at the age of like 25 for basically for helping other people do something.
Yes.
I can't wrap my brain around the authoritarianism that takes, the amount of just absolute tyrannical I am God that judge has to have to think that that's even remotely fair or moral to do.
Yep, I got it. I'm trying to find this quote. I'm just keep talking. I'm trying to find this quote. She actually like brings up is oh damn it. She retired from the bench last month, so I mean I guess that's a good thing somehow. So she won't do this to someone else, I guess. But
all I can hope for is that either a member of the prosecution or one of the arresting police or like the judge winds up somehow getting embroiled in some sort of a corruption suit and winds up getting convicted of massive corruption so that his sentence winds up going back for review because, oh, well, they were corrupt. That's like his one hope now. Or a presidential pardon, which he ain't going to get from Trump. So, not the man who ran with Pence or the man who appointed Jeff Sessions. That guy is not commuting his sentence.
Let's see. I found part of it. The social cost of drugs are manifest. The user is only one part of the equation. There is much more the harm reduction argument comes from and is focused on the user. The user is one part of a massive worldwide scheme of drug trafficking. And if you sat where I sat, you would see that the user is not the end. So harm reduction focused on the user is missing the point. No drug dealer from the Bronx selling meth or heroin or crack has ever made these kind of arguments in the court. It is a privileged argument. It is an argument from one of privilege. You are no better a person than the other drug dealer, and your education does not give you a special place of privilege in our criminal justice system. It makes it less explicable why you did what you did. So yeah, she was out to get him from the start, right?
Well, yeah, she straight up admitted. I mean, think about this. She admits bias and then considers a charge that he's not yet convicted for and technically considered innocent of. In her sense, I mean,
yeah. You were captain of the ship as the Dread Pirate Roberts, which he was actually never convicted of or admitted to, and you made your own laws and you enforced those laws. So it wasn't a world without restriction. It wasn't a world of ultimate freedom. It was a world of laws that you created, that they were your laws. It is fictional to think of Silk Road as some place of freedom.
Because there were rules, then it wasn't free?
Yeah, because there were rules, it wasn't free.
So she's saying she would prefer chaos, or is she admitting that America also is very clearly not free?
This woman is just.
That's just.
There is no reason to make a choice between the two people that I see that are on display. The Ulbricht, who is the leader of the criminal enterprise, and the Ulbricht who is known and loved. What is clear is that people are very, very complex, and you are one of them. They are made up of different qualities and many characteristics with no equity defining them. and there is good in Mr. Ulbricht, I have no doubt, but there is also bad, and what you did in connection with Silk Road was terribly destructive to our social fabric.
Based on what? Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, well, he's accused of drugs, so now I have to destroy him, is basically what she said at the beginning of that trial.
Yes.
Well, she said she had to bury him under the fucking jail because she had to make an example out of him that this could never happen again. Because
even before that, the reason she got this case is because Chuck Schumer appointed her. Chuck Schumer handpicked her to be the judge in the case because she was so so strict on drugs.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
the whole thing is that it's also because of the fact that it's a perfect example of counter economics.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, they want to, like, the prime example of agorism, they want to smash it in the fucking ground and make sure nobody ever tries it again.
Well, not only that, like, okay, Ross, my camera just went bonkers for a second. So Ross was not the first one to sell narcotics on the dark web. Allegedly to sell narcotics on the dark web. But he was the big name, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The Pirate Bay was the big place, right?
Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread Pirate Roberts, like he was the big guy. They had to make an example out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he got the handpicked judge with the super strict conviction, but the sentence. That's why there was so much hype over these murder for hire charges that are now dropped.
Yeah,
because they had to demonize him in the public eye and give him this super heavy sentence.
Well, yeah,
as a warning to the rest of the people, as a signal.
Yeah.
Like they had to take down this flag.
Yeah, they had to crucify him.
And you can see the same thing happening. You saw the same thing with Barrett Brown, right? And you're starting to see the same kind of stuff happen with Cody Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right? They're going to go after Wilson hard.
Julian Assange is another one.
Yep.
Edward Snowden was another one. Like these people
anyone that defies the state and like has a platform to speak from, like they try and fucking just destroy you. They'll character assassinate you first, and if that doesn't work and you don't shut up, then they'll fucking, then they'll take the physical action.
That's where Cody's at right now. Cody Wilson.
Yep.
We wanted to talk about guns anyway. So let's bring up Cody. That's what they're doing right now. Like Cody, Cody was on CBS the other morning. He was on Fox News this morning.
I saw that.
He's been all over the place.
Yeah, he was like, it's out in the public domain. He's like, you can't stop it now. He's like, it's not about the gun debate. He's like, the gun debate's over. He's like, pretty much like, he's like, you're gonna have to adjust to, what's happening, not the other way. Nobody's adjusting to you.
Yeah. Nobody's adjusting. You have to adjust your beliefs now. You have to adjust your laws to the new reality.
And they're probably like, you fucking cocksucker, I hate you. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like anybody that spits in their face and laughs at them, like, you know what I mean? Like they'll just fucking kill you to make an example out of you.
Like Cody's quote this morning says, "I recognize the game of real power and how it's played, but then I also recognize the game of media and media theory." And how those people can't help but project or carry or produce certain narratives. I just saw it all at once that I can make an in run around the political process that merely in symbolic terms would destroy the idea of gun control in people's minds in the only state in the world at this time which had an open gun culture. Texas has a pretty open gun culture.
Yeah.
I mean, he chose Texas. Like he was from Alabama or Louisiana or something like that. And he moved to Texas to do this project as a symbol, not necessarily to like be this rebel and create a second realm and be this like big anarcho folk hero. No, he moved to Texas and did this project because in Texas they have an open gun culture. Because in Texas had the best chance for that kind of thing for a 3D printed gun. Texas had the best chance for that being accepted.
Are you guys friends with him on Facebook?
No.
No. Because I was going to say there was another Cody from Texas that I was friends with on Facebook when I used to be on there, but that might have been a different dude altogether. So I don't know.
No, I follow him on Twitter and whatnot, and Shane Radliff and I we talked about him a lot. We did an episode on the Volume podcast last week.
Yeah, he seems like a real bright guy. Like,
well, yeah, he was in law school.
Oh, really?
Like he was in law school working towards his degree, and then decided like, okay, well, I'm going to go do this thing. So like he's a super intelligent person, and to hear him speak, like Like that dude has his shit down.
Yeah, no, that's what I would like. That's the feeling I got when I was watching the one interview with him. Like he was just like fucking giving it to him, and I was like, yeah, I like this guy.
Nobody's giving it to him, but like you can see Cody when they ask him a question or when they say certain things. Watch him smile.
Yeah.
Watch him. He turned like you could see that predatory smile, and you're just like that kid's doing things. Like
he's just like a cat, like playing with like a fucking mouse and shit.
Well, yeah, because I mean, and Lindsay and I were talking about this the other night. We were talking about this the other night, where we said, the problem is that guys like Cody Wilson and there are a few others, the media a lot of times hates interviewing them because you can't. Like I've seen them try with a lot of Wilson's interviews. They try to
trip him up.
Yeah, they try to manipulate it so that they phrase the question so that they could do it. But he sees it every time because he knows what they're doing. He sees it coming, and he
knows the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I told her, I said, I don't think they're going to interview him much more. I think they're going to give up because every time they try to interview him, he's throwing out these ideas of freedom that they don't want to give a platform to, and that's exactly what they're doing.
This is all over him.
He knows that too. He knows that it's a platform to get that message out there, which is smart of him. You know what I mean? Because I'd probably do the same shit if I had the chance. If I got interviewed,
I'd be all about. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to answer your question, but let me go ahead and just cover a couple of things first, and then just throw down.
I've been wearing a shirt that says "Can't stop the signal," and you can't stop the signal. Like that's what people. That's what these people don't understand is they talk about downloadable death, right? Which would be a fantastic band name, by the way.
It would have. Start a punk band now just for that name.
Yeah, they talk about hashtag downloadable death and 3D printed guns and this and that, and like they're so terrible. And what if a bad guy gets them? What if a terrorist gets them? What if somebody that's not supposed to have a gun gets them? Motherfucker, that plan was downloaded 100,000 times in 5 days, 5 years ago. If there was going to be an issue, you would know about it by now.
Well, yeah, exactly. And not only that, but consider that P.A. Luty's book has been out for how long? How long has Canadian Homemade Firearms been out?
Like the 80s, I think. The mid-80s.
Because remember, he went to prison over that.
The Anarchist Cookbook. I mean,
they're out there, and no one's okay. Well, all right. Luty's gun's actually a bad example because that has actually been used in a couple of terrorist acts, but. Outside of that, it was actually used to shoot a British PM. The IRA used one.
But all right. Now compare that to the fucking media and the government crying about this. While during the Obama administration, I don't know if it's still going on in the Trump administration. I don't think it is because ISIS wouldn't have died out as quick as they have if it was still going on. But anyway, we're gonna speak about. Just what was going on in the Obama administration, and while Hillary Clinton was, Secretary of State, and they were dropping fucking tons of weapons to ISIS.
Well, ISIS
they're worried about fucking 3D fucking printed guns. Like, come on.
That picture came out the other day of ISIS with an $80,000 Javelin missile.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Attack launcher and everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Fast and Furious. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Operation Gun Runner. That was under Bush.
Yep.
The government loves guns. I mean, as long as the people gets guns, well, we should pass a law against shooting people. That'll work.
Yeah.
Golly Wally. I mean, come on now.
Those goddamn massacre guns.
Yeah, the massacre gun, the 3D printed massacre guns.
Oh my god. My favorite, my favorite thing about this whole discussion, like Cody's interviews are absolutely fantastic, right? The hypocrisy coming out, right? The exposing the politicians for being morons and everything that they are. My favorite thing coming out of this is the memes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, the memes are fantastic. the 3D printer memes are fantastic. Like I saw one the other day and it was like this pile of ARs laying on the ground. And it says something like when your computer freezes and you just keep it print.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I have an arsenal now. What do I do? It went crazy.
Can I just say that, like, I'm glad that we live in a reality where everything gets memed?
Yes.
Yeah. Everything. Well, and that's the thing though, is like when the people were all worried about, well, but if you make a gun out of all polymer, then it's going to be undetectable. But and the TSA has actually found how many of those guns?
6 in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
like it's not undetectable. The TSA came out and said, "Oh yeah, well we found this and this and that and this," and it's just like, checkmate.
Yeah, exactly. They're already out there. The thing is all of these plans, and then obviously once they blocked FCAD, then all those other plans came out for the homemade stand. Ludi's book came out for free online, which is good because it's $3,000 on Amazon if anybody wants to look. The plans for the auto sear for the M4 came out. This really cool auto sear setup for it that's actually like a plate that just sets on there. That's neat. All of these things.
Yep. Go to Telegram. Go to Telegram and search Ghost Guns. GHOSTGUNS, capital G's. It's an 80.2 megabyte zip file. Yeah, that's a lot of information.
I think mine came out to like 116 gig.
Is it a zip file or the total file?
Oh, I think it was the whole file, actually. Yeah. But either way, I mean, those are the and that's the thing too that they seem to ignore is that homemade guns are fully legal in the United States. The Supreme Court has ruled that there is no way any law against them would even be enforceable, so it was irrelevant anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why 80% lowers exist.
Exactly, because if it's home built, you can't stop that. It's going to happen. They make firearms in prison, people. They make firearms in prison.
gun buyback in San Diego. Demetrius Karras and his guys at Firearms Unknown. This was like last year. They went to Home Depot and bought like $15 in parts and made homemade shotguns and turned them in for $200 gift cards.
Yep.
Right. I mean, $15 in parts in like 10 minutes in time. They made homemade shotguns.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean,
you can't stop it. And the thing that he's doing is he's telling everybody very, very loudly in a way that they can't ignore but could have before. No, you can't stop this. You can pass all the laws you want, and it will not stop it. The files are out there. Once they're in the wild, that's it. They're out there. You're never going to stop it. 2013, when he first put them on the internet, 100,000 downloads in 5 days. That was in 2000. That was 5 years ago, and they're flipping out over what, like 2,700 downloads in the few days that it was up. Yep.
This time, I mean, and okay, let's get the DefCAD site, right, that everybody's worried about. Oh my God, he's got 3D. Oh my God, it's a 3D printed assault rifle. No, there was one 3D printed gun on there that was a Liberator, right? Those are the plans that were released 5 years ago. The other ones on there are simply schematics.
Yep, exactly.
Which you can get on the internet anywhere for free.
Oh yeah, you've been able to get all of the details of how to program a CNC machine to mill an AR lower for years and years and years. That's been out there. I mean, people have been home milling lowers and things for years. There's that sheet metal, that all sheet metal pistol. I can't remember what it's called, but there have been videos out of guys making them themselves. They're in semi-automatic. I think they're 25 caliber. It might be 32.
I mean, what is a stamped AK but flat sheet metal cut and folded? I mean,
yeah, there isn't much to it. There isn't. No. I mean, it's like the homemade Sten gun. Like I point out to people, if you look at a Sten gun, if you disassemble that thing, it's a steel pipe with certain cuts in it, and then a chunk of round stock with certain cuts in it. And that's kind of it. That's the whole damn thing. It's super simple to make. You can't sit there and tell me that you honestly think you can stop people from doing that.
No, again, they make guns in prison.
Yeah.
Well, you can get drugs in prison too.
Prison.
I mean, come on.
Cell phones. Yeah, there's that meme that was going around. If my cousin can send me selfies from
you can text me back. Yeah.
Yeah. Because cell phones aren't allowed in prison, drugs aren't allowed in prison, guns aren't allowed in prison. Apparently, you just need the law harder. Like,
yeah. Well, if you make the whole entire fucking world a prison, then you won't have to worry about it, or will you? Because you can still get that shit in jail. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, fucking stop it already.
Prohibition on goods and services only creates a more profitable and oftentimes violent black market.
Exactly.
It's just...
But see, the whole thing is that I think that they intentionally do that so that they can control that black market, because we know the intelligence agencies fucking manage that shit from the fucking background.
Conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy factualist.
Yeah, it's real. It's a real conspiracy, and it's a well-known and well-documented conspiracy. But the thing too is, I mean, what you have to remember though is what this really is doing is this is making a case for, like, a legit case for anarchism, or for agorism, right? Yeah. A legit case for agorism where it's reminding people, and this is what they're so scared of, is it's reminding people that you can render the state irrelevant by simply living as if it doesn't exist. Just ignore it.
It's all based on belief, man.
Which is an idea that I absolutely believe. I absolutely love the idea of challenging the religion of statism. And that's exactly what Cody's doing. Like the fear mind, like even today on Fox News, like the interview, the guy doing that, I think it was like Chris Matthews or something like that. Like all of his questions were based in fear mongering. Like, well, what if somebody that's not supposed to have a gun gets a gun and shoots a member of your family? Are you going to feel bad? And Cody's like,
that's an appeal to emotion, dude.
Cody's like, well, it's going to happen. Like, there's nothing I can do. Like should we take away guns from every single person because one person might do something bad?
Yeah.
Like if that was the case, why are there cars and McDonald's and tobacco and hammers and ladders
and that's the
goddamn dangerous freedom.
Yeah. And that's the thing that people need. That's what we all need to keep remembering to do, is what he did there, which is turn around. Because obviously, if you're talking Fox News, you're talking right-wing audience, people who are pro-gun.
Yeah.
But you need to turn that back on them and remind them that all the arguments they're making against 3D printed guns are the arguments that the anti-gunners make to them for factory-produced guns.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah. We just need background checks, because background.
Well,
checks
they just want a longer leash. You know what I mean? Is all it is. They don't.
Not a longer leash. They want a longer leash, and they want to control the leash.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So, which is fucking And another thing that I really love is how they took the term ghost gun and turned it back against them.
Yep.
Right. That was the Kevin DeLeon line about 30 caliber clip per second or per half second or whatever it was.
Yeah, ghost gun.
Right? A ghost gun, and Cody's like, hey, let's call this milling machine a ghost gunner.
Yeah.
which is not what a 3D printed gun is, you guys. A ghost gunner is a tabletop CNC machine that mills out at 80% lower. It's not a 3D printer that makes plastic parts.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, is remember with the ghost gunner, with Cody Wilson's ghost gunner, all it does is what I can do right now with a jig and a router with my 80% lower. It just does it for me so that I don't have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
The argument can even be made that you don't even need a CNC machine and a drill press. You can legit do it with hand tools if you really, really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
But
it would take you so fucking long to do it with hand tools. But
you can do it. You can literally do it with a Dremel. If you have a Dremel with the little drill press jig thing, you can do it with a Dremel tool.
I have seen people do 80% lowers with general tools.
Yeah. You can just
general tools. Like literally just in his hand, sitting there in his lap, blah blah blah, and he did it, and I was just like, okay, cool. Like I've seen people do it with straight mill presses or with straight drill presses.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, you can buy the jigs super easy. It's not like the jigs are particularly expensive. They're around $100. If you get from like 80% Arms, and I would argue that they have the best toolkit for it with their end mill. It's really, really nice end mill. That's preset, pre-length to work specifically with their jigs. So it takes a lot of the doubt out of it and everything. But that you can buy that. It's tools. It's unregulated. It's a couple pieces of plastic and some bits. You can buy that and just do it. And anybody can do that now. Anybody's been able to do that for years. What? Why now are they freaking out?
Not only that, but like you can do it for years. But even if you bought one of these 80% lowers and you milled it out, right? 80% lower is like $150 on that's medium. I've seen them way less. I've seen them higher, but it's $150, right? Well, then you still need to buy trigger assembly and selector switches and mag catch and the barrel and the upper and the stock and the buffer tube and the buffer spring and just like the gas block and there's so much left that you have to do. It's not like you can mill out an entire gun for $150.
Yeah.
No.
Right. All that the Ghost Gunner does, all that it's just the lower end of the AR. Right. You still need like $600, $700, $800 worth of parts.
Well, yeah. I mean,
unless you're buying like the song parts, in which case it's like $400 and you're gonna get like 3 shots and the barrel's gonna split. But which is cheaper, or it's about the same cost as like printing a Liberator pistol, but you're gonna get the same number of shots at it before the barrel split.
Just watch your rifling go down range. Well,
watch your barrel separate. Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That's when you listen to a lot of these politicians talk about it. That one guy that I know I posted the meme a while back where he's trying to imply that the entire AR got printed by this thing.
Yes. No, not only that the entire AR was printed by it, but that the entire AR was undetectable.
Yeah, because it's all made out of plastic.
Yeah, it's all made of plastic. Yeah. Right. Well, the lower was 3D printed, right, and then lower is the same thing that you can buy as 80%.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the only part of it that's an actual firearm according to the ATF is that lower part of the AR.
Right.
You still have to have everything else.
Yeah.
Right. You still have the metal trigger springs. You still have the metal buffer springs, which I guess you could not necessarily need if you're only going to fire one shot. But you still got the metal firing pin. You still got a metal barrel.
Yeah, barrel, chamber, and the chamber needs to be able to withstand the pressures. People forget what kind of
the
pressure.
The bolt carrier group. I mean, that's got to be metal too.
Yep.
I mean, even the bullet is metal. The bullet casing is metal.
Yeah.
Like even on Cody's original Liberator pistol, he still needed some metal parts. It had enough metal in it that it was not a violation of the 1988 Undetectable Firearms Act. So he had metal in the Liberator pistol.
What people need to remember too is people seem to forget when Glocks first came to the U.S. with their
polymer, yeah,
freaking out that they were going to be undetectable by metal detectors, which was a load of crap then too.
Yeah, yep.
Because oh my god, it's a polymer barrel. Like, come on now.
Yeah, people have a ton of steel on here. There's a ton of steel.
I've always wanted to blow myself up.
Yeah, use the plastic. And I mean, you're talking about chamber pressures of 13,000 psi.
Yeah, it's no joke, dude.
Pull that back with plastic?
Well, dude,
maybe
they're talking to a voting base that's not very fucking informed on these matters. You know what I mean? So they can stretch the truth a fucking mile if they want to.
well,
And nobody's gonna know the difference.
they don't even need to tell the truth. They don't even need to stretch the truth.
No,
All
yeah,
they have to
that's
do is
true.
put
That's true.
propaganda out there, and the
And
confirmation bias will take over.
Well, what they do is they just appeal to their emotions and say, "Oh, well, you know, we got to protect the kids," or fucking whatever.
The border argument with immigration. Oh, they're coming to take your jobs and your welfare, and how are they going to do both?
Yeah, that's
right. They're coming to take your jobs, right? Washington has apples rotting on the trees right now because there's no fucking migrant workers. Where's the white people whose job they took?
They're freaking out. They're freaking out here in Wisconsin for cranberry season's coming up because they don't think they're going to have any workers for it.
Green beans.
Green beans too. The chicken plant.
Huh?
We got a Golden Plump chicken in Iowa, in Northeast Iowa. Who've been busted like 30 times for immigration violations. Same with Ashley Furniture. Ashley Furniture is headquartered about 45 minutes north of us, about 45 minutes north, their global headquarters and their main factory. And they get busted all the time for it. But they're suffering labor shortages.
They're offering free rides on buses from La Crosse to Arcadia, which is a 45-minute drive. They're doing that for free because they no longer have employees otherwise.
Yeah, they're so desperate. They're saying, look, we will. Initially, they said, well, we'll go up a couple of bucks an hour. And they said, well, we'll give you a few more benefits. And still no one wanted those jobs. So now they're saying, okay, well, look, we will send a bus 45 minutes south to this other city to pick you up and bring you here and then take you home for free. And they still can't actually fill all of the positions they need because no one wants to do it.
Yep. It's just yeah.
And they've already warned. They've sent out things to people saying, hey, our prices are all going to have to go up.
Yeah, of course.
We got to start paying everybody more. We got to pay for all these other things. We're going to have to raise our prices. And now everyone's going to whine and complain. Oh, it's so expensive to get. Well, gee, are you telling me that maybe, just maybe, not having to worry?
Just wait. It's going to get better because they're going to be, oh, you know, things are so expensive. I can't live anymore. We need to raise the minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to ignore the fact that the whole reason it was cheaper. And that circles back around to the China thing. Is the whole reason that it's cheaper is because you can pay them less. And that's good for the economy.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is that it always gets dumped back onto the customer.
It always trickles down to the customer.
You know what I mean? Because like even if like right, let me just lay this out because like you said with the whole thing about having to pay more because they couldn't fucking find enough people, so they have to raise their price so it gets dumped back onto the customer. Then people ask for higher minimum wage, which in turn, if they had to pay higher minimum wage, that minimum wage would get dumped back onto the customer again, raising the prices once again.
Oh. Yeah.
Why don't we
That's what it is.
$1 million an hour? $1 million an hour. I have
right?
all
Like,
the problem.
fuck it. Just throw a whole bunch of zeros on the end.
Let's make minimum wage. Let's make minimum wage $20 an hour, $25 an hour. Let's guarantee people that work 40 hours a week. Let's guarantee them $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a week. Let's go $25 an hour.
Yeah.
How's that $17 hamburger taste?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? How's that $12 gallon of milk?
And that's the thing, you know, I mean, like, we're seeing all of these economic policies in action failing in Venezuela when the inflation got so bad.
Failing here.
Well, they're failing here, but I mean, we're seeing like the long term, what eventually we're going to wind up in because it happened so fast in Venezuela. Now where they just decided to help combat inflation, they just knock a couple of zeros off of their currency. 5 zeros,
not a couple of zeros. 5 zeros. This is after they knocked 3 zeros off a couple months ago because the cost of things did not fit on the 10 number code on their point of sale machines.
Oh
Well,
my
look up really quick. The IMF just came out with a figure on Venezuela's, I think, like
A
interest
million.
rate.
It's
Yeah,
supposed
it looks
to
like
reach the inflation level is supposed to reach 1,000,000% later this
there
year.
you go.
A
Yep.
million
Jesus.
percent.
Like that's like unfathomable, dude.
Yep.
I
Okay, I heard Lindsay gas, so I have to go into this. But yes, the point of sale machines, right, where people slide their credit cards, right, they put a price in and whatnot. Like there was a story about a person buying a couple pounds of sandwich meat at a deli, and the sale had to go through. The sale had to be broken up in three, and entered into the machine. So the person had to pay three separate times because there's only 9 digits on the point of sale machine, and it was like 1 billion or 1,200,000,000 or 1,200,000,000,000. The total cost was right, so it had to be broken down into 9-digit increments so
My
that they
God.
could fit on the point of sale machine. So their answer to this, the government's answer to this is, well, we'll just take 3 zeros off the sale price of things. Right? Like that totally fixed the economy, right? And then last week they had more problems, and they're like, oh, well, we'll totally fix things by knocking 5 zeros off of it. Right? So that's totally gonna fix things.
Magic with numbers, dude.
Can I just hold this Band-Aid real quick?
Yeah, I just need to throw the Band-Aid on the economy. It'll be fine. We'll just put some vinegar.
You guys,
it's like what?
well, you guys remember? I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
Zimbabwe had $1 trillion bills.
Yeah. Yep.
$1 trillion bills. Like,
I think I actually had one. I think I actually got one off of eBay that ironically I actually paid like $5 for, which is not the correct exchange rate. But
fuck Zimbabwe, dude. I'm still waiting for that Nigerian prince to pay me back.
I know that
Son of a bitch.
There was an article out of Venezuela, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, where this nurse was fired. Right, she had like 7 years with the company or something like that, and she was given a severance of like 34 billion or something like that. Right? Oh my God, she's a billionaire, right? It's worth about a cup of coffee.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like her severance pay was enough for a cup of coffee.
Well, and we saw that in the Confederate States, in the United States, where, in North America. I mean, technically, it was the Confederate States, not the United, but
hold on. I have to bring this up. You mentioned there's a picture coming out of Portland. They had a Patriot Antifa protest, right? And there's pictures of the Patriot Guard carrying a flag that had the stars and like half the stripes and then half of the Confederate cross.
What? No, that's not how this works. That's not how it works.
Confusion much?
Like that is one of the most confused people. Like,
yeah, right.
That is even worse than the American flag with the thin blue line.
Yeah. Well, but I mean that's the thing though, is that in the Confederate States, their money became worthless as the government collapsed, as they lost the war. So people were like bringing wheelbarrows of money. We saw that in the Weimar Republic, where people were bringing wheelbarrows of money. We saw that during the Great Depression, where people were having to stack money up and like bring like backpacks of money places. And you can't magically fix that by saying, oh, we're just gonna pretend that this 1 billion is equivalent to 10 now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that at all. I mean, like in the Weimar Republic, like you mentioned them wheelbarrows of money. Like workers would get paid in cash at lunchtime, so that they could bring the money home to their wives, so the wives could go to the store before the prices changed at the close of sale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like it was cheaper to burn money than to buy firewood.
Yep.
Well, and that's the way it is right now with toilet paper in Venezuela. It's cheaper to just wipe your ass with the money than it is to go buy toilet paper with it.
It really is.
Like that sounds hilarious and objectively hilarious, but that's tragic. That is fucking tragic for those people that they have to just wipe their ass with the money in the name of saving money. I mean,
well, see, that's the difference between like fucking actually believing in the fact that fiat currency has any value to begin with.
Well, right, exactly. It's all a magic trick. It's all sleight of hand. None of it actually exists. The value doesn't actually exist, except that the government says it does. So if you believe that, then the government stripping 5 zeros off of the end of the value of the currency magically fixes it because it's all just fake bullshit anyway.
Exactly. It's a neat trick on how to fucking enslave people though, without like having to put chains on them.
I mean, can you imagine doing that in Monopoly? Let's just use the game of Monopoly where you run out of $500 bills, so you take an orange highlighter to ones and color them in, and now it's worth 500. That's literally what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're like cutting up pieces of paper and just like fucking writing like 500 on it or whatever.
Yep, exactly. Oh nope, there's a $500 bill now because I say so. No,
that's not how any of this works.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what we're approaching with the way this is going. With the we need the cost of goods is increasing because we don't have any cheap labor now, and so then we'll raise the minimum wage because everything's so expensive. Oh wait, the cost of goods has to, and that's that ladder that we're at a fairly low level, but climbing very quickly, and it's accelerating the more these idiot socialists start pushing harder and harder.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always a downward spiral, and it fucking like you said, it does quicken.
Pretty soon it's gonna. I mean, that's the thing. Like that, I keep telling people because I've had people be like, "Oh, well, what should I invest in?" And I'm like, probably precious metals, like mainly steel, brass, lead.
Well, what I see happening is what they're gonna do. Since the United States is no longer like the golden calf, that they can like bleed dry anymore, and like China's, the main hub for the globalists now. They're probably going to do like a controlled demolition of the U.S. economy and then do a reset of like the global economy.
It's possible. I mean, there's also Cloud Pivot is still in play too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one's still pretty popular.
But they know that if they do a controlled demolition of the U.S. economy, that they can manage it, because they know that if they bring that down, that it's going to affect every other fucking country in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's become way more important for them to do now that Brexit. It was supposed to happen next month. It's not now, next year. It's not now, in case anybody missed that. Brexit is no longer going to occur in 2019. It's been pushed out past 2020, I think. Now.
Yeah, stupid. All right, I got a couple articles left, but we're already at like 5 minutes left. So, which one do you guys want to get to? The Amish Uber or assassination markets? Crypto assassination markets. Or bureaucrats ordering a Pennsylvania family to stop hosting Bible study in their own home.
Makes me giggle.
Which one, Lindsay?
The last one just makes me giggle.
Oh.
Let's see.
Well, as for I just want to touch on the Amish fucking Uber. Like, how does he do that without violating Amish standards?
It's not
using electronics.
Well, there's different sects of Amish. Number one.
Okay.
There's Amish and Amish, which are what you would think, and then there's Mennonite, which allows some modern technologies, firearms, vehicles, cell phones, things like that. Then there's other fundamentalist sects, but what he is he is not a true Uber. He actually, it's like a kind of hailing him like you would a cab.
Ah, okay.
Let's see. Deliveries.
Stepping out
So
on
it's just pretty much like a stagecoach, but he's just calling himself an Amish Uber.
You also have to remember that there are some different Amish communities where it's not actually against the rules to use modern technology. It's just against the rules to own
modern
technology.
Yeah, so they'll have cell phones.
Yep, they'll have cell phones or they'll actually own cars, but they won't themselves actually be on the titles. It will be a friend from the family that isn't part of the Amish community.
English.
Yeah.
The delivery driver's got serious horsepower. A Michigan man is putting an old-fashioned twist on ride-sharing, offering up what might be the country's first, quote, Amish Uber, according to report. Instead of a car, Timothy Hochstedler carries his customers around St. Joseph County in a horse and buggy. This is St. Joseph County. I have no idea what state it's in. Or Michigan. Or at least it's Uber's hot right now, so we have an Amish Uber. Pochester 32 told WWMT. Instead of ordering up a driver on their cell phones, riders must flag down and a four-legged pickup on the street, Big Apple style. So we can deliver people to their front steps. A $5 ride, the service is already a big hit. And like the whole thing is it's all about introducing people to the Amish lifestyle, and he has conversations with people. And then the other big benefit that he pushes is that it allows people to slow down and to see the beauty of the county and whatnot as you drive it around.
Yeah, and I mean, and to be fair, I mean, it's not like the idea of a kind of a rideshare service is actually foreign to Amish communities. They pay a lot of people to drive them places and things because it is more convenient in a lot of cases, and it's a little difficult to figure out where to park a horse at a Walmart.
Word.
I mean, they do, but
Yeah, I love the idea. I absolutely I would get a ride from the guy.
Yeah, right.
I can see it being picked up in other places, and I could see it happening more and more and more.
A little difficult to tag the local Amish community in my Facebook post about it, but
well, yeah, they're the only sect of society that you can make fun of online without anybody getting upset.
Yeah, I really want to start a hate web page calling them all hypocrites because if they complain, then they prove me right.
Exactly. Got you, fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it. See?
You just outed yourselves.
And just to make Lindsay happy, let's go. Bureaucrats order Pennsylvania couple to stop holding Bible studies in their home. Yeah.
First Amendment? What's the First Amendment? I never heard of that.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, exactly. Not only that, but isn't it property where they're like pretty much?
Yeah, it's freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. None of that matters, I guess. It's not like those things were, I don't know, like 3 of the 4 things listed in the First Amendment.
In literally the very first part of the Constitution. That's its opening act.
The Bill of Rights, yeah.
Throwing it out the window.
Compare the 2 modes of behavior. 1, you are on your own property, offering conversations to friends or offering voluntary consensual trade of goods and services to friends and neighbors. Alternatively, you are an unwelcome trespasser onto another person's property. You are there to order them to stop their voluntary consensual peaceful activity. You tell them they must pay a fine, quote unquote, for this activity, and you are backed by the potential to send armed men with badges to arrest them if they don't comply. Which is the peaceful activity? And so, yes.
My concern, my fear here is that the next step is you can't have a gathering of more than 2 people in one go, because then it's clearly causing problems.
This actually sounds really familiar. I think. Oh, I remember who's been doing this recently. China.
Yeah. Just hold on, Lindsay. Get them in. Yeah, and Sewickley Heights, Pennsylvania, the town bureaucrats appear to have a momentally difficult time figuring out the answer to that because one area couple had to file a lawsuit against the town in order to be able to get this resume hosting Bible studies, religious retreats, small sales of produce, and tours of their farm. On June 8th or July 18th, the U.S. District Court in Western PA, Harrisburg's Independence Law Center filed suit against Sewickley Heights Borough on behalf of Scott and Terry Federoff, who were ordered October of last year to cease and desist Bible study groups, religious retreats, tours, and fundraisers on their 35-acre farm they bought in 2013. This would be a farm where the previous owner for decades offered friends and neighbors those same activities, and where the Federoffs entered into the purchase with specific intent of continuing the tradition. According to the suit, Sewickley Heights is abusing the zoning code given the intimidating Orwellian title, Ordinance 294, which prohibits, quote, a place of worship and what the feudal lords of the town label a historic rural residential property. For the concept of, quote, a place of worship is well known. That would be a building built for a specific purpose of admitting people for the regular worship that the Federoffs actually live in, i.e. they are the residents and use their farm.
So,
yes.
Again, I mean, this is the same kind of thing as the bake the cake motherfucker moment. It's the exact same kind of thing.
The bureaucrats threaten the couple with a $500 per day fine if they do not end this wanton, corruptive, aggressive activity.
Yeah, those corrupting, horrible. I mean, it's noted that wherever a Bible study pops up, inevitably the prostitutes and the thieves, they just roll right on in behind it. Soon they'll be playing billiards.
All right, so they're gonna arrest people for Bible study, but they're not gonna arrest people for actually fucking like sacrificing children.
Nope.
Well, one's done by the government, so of course not.
Well, this is true.
I mean, it absolutely boggles my mind. I mean, it's not like this. The problem is that their thought process, I guarantee you, their thought process is, well, this isn't a church, so you don't get protection. Because it's the same thing that they do with the bake the cake thing. Well, you're not a pastor, so you don't get protection. It ignores the fact that the First Amendment isn't written for churches. The First Amendment is written for individuals.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, this country was founded on the basis of, I don't know, religious freedom.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, for Puritans? Who are Puritans? I've never heard of these Pilgrim people. I don't know. I meant to skip that day in class. I was too busy standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and masturbating. Like,
isn't that like another like name for SJWs though? Puritans?
Yeah, they're pretty much the same kind of
thing.
Burn the witch.
literally burn the witch. Not you, Lindsay. You're safe.
Nah, burn me too. It's fine.
Burn the witch. I love that we're bringing up burn the witches. I have a pentagram on my.
Oh man.
Lindsay'd probably like it if we tried to burn her. Fucking psycho.
But it's I mean, how can you? I don't understand. I don't understand how these people can not get that freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, that these freedom of free expression of religion apply to people on their property, even if, like, regardless of if you've zoned this for religious, like, oh, sorry, this isn't a free speech zone. This isn't a free speech zone, so you're not allowed to.
Right. If you have a free speech zone, you do not have free speech.
Exactly. Like, nope, you only get to say that in this little box. You got to go in your screen back so you can say something offensive.
All right, now let me ask you this question: do you think that the fucking the media would make a big stink if they did that to like a Jewish family doing that with, like, you know, fellow Jewish people, or if they did that to like Muslim people?
Oh, it would be national headline news.
Well, exactly. But it's free range on Christians, you know what I mean? So like that's what I've always noticed. It's like it's okay to, like, you know, persecute one group of people, but the other, like, you know, the other religions are totally off limits. Like, you can't even like talk about them.
I don't get is why is this any different doing this in a home versus building a new box with some windows on a piece of land and going, hey, I'm a church now. I don't have to pay taxes, but it's okay.
But see, that's the thing too, is they weren't even claiming, right, Jason?
No, they weren't claiming to be a church.
Yeah, no, it's not like they were collecting money or anything.
They were just having Bible study in their home with some friends.
So
they had a bit too much to think. Let
me just get this straight. So it's okay to not let the government steal from your church if you name it a church, and then it's okay to have people worshiping whatever it is you're wanting to worship in this box that doesn't have to pay the government.
Yep.
But it's not okay to place it in a private home where these people are actually following all of these arbitrary laws that then steal from them. Why does that actually make
exactly
it
right?
Well, you're thinking
because they didn't fill out the form.
You're thinking logically. That's why you're not a politician.
Yeah.
You didn't fill out the 501c3 form.
I find what these people doing a hell of a lot more, or a hell of a lot less offensive than what Joel Osteen does.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Are you kidding me?
That guy is running a criminal enterprise, plain and simple.
See, I'd rather people if they're gonna practice Christianity.
Yeah,
I'd rather if people are gonna practice a religion that they do it like that in small consenting groups than an actual fucking structured oh, this is a Methodist church, or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's that's all just a brainwashing tool. It's not like there's.
Well, even then, I don't care if people worship. If people,
I don't either. I don't either. But I'm saying
if people want to have Bible study, I mean, we're gonna hang out and have anarcho study, right? I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, it doesn't matter. It's not the government's business what people consensually do in their own homes.
Well, and see,
if these people were cooking meth in their own home, it's not the government's business what they're doing.
I don't care
if you're not harming anybody.
I don't care if you want to build a statue of Baphomet in your living room and have an orgy in front of it. I don't give a fuck, and it's none of the government's business. I might want pictures, but it's.
If we want to tie Lindsay to a cross and have our way with her, then it's not the government. It's not the government's business what we do as long as it's consensual.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
it's all sign waivers.
I mean, and that's the thing is these people, these same people, if these people had been having a munch there, right? If they'd been doing a BDSM education session there, they would never have gone, nope, sorry, you can't do that. But
no, dude, they wouldn't have.
Because it's a Bible study, and I guarantee you the people in charge personally find that offensive. That's why they're going after them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what they need to do? They need to call it a book club.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We're discussing this book.
Yeah. They could do that. It would probably be illegal.
It's a book club.
The fact that the book is called Leviticus is irrelevant.
You don't need to know the title.
They are called the books of the Bible. I mean,
exactly. There's 66 of them.
I really hope one of them is listening right now because that is the most brilliant idea.
It was a book club. But no, that's the thing, though, is consider that there is, everybody talks about separation of church and state. They ignore the fact that what Jefferson was saying.
Okay, hold on. The phrase separation of church and state is nowhere in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, or in any government document.
Nope, it is in a letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Amberry Baptist Association, and what he was saying is, because the whole reason they had written it is because they heard that, I want to say Methodism? I could be wrong. Presbyterianism, that's what it was. Presbyterianism was going to be made the national religion, and they objected to that because they were Baptists. And he responded and said, don't worry, the Constitution has erected a wall of church between church and state. Now, what he's talking about is that it's designed to keep the state out of the church, and that is exactly what it's designed for, and that is exactly...
And vice versa.
Well, yeah.
Because they didn't want a theocracy, and they didn't want government meddling in fucking, religion.
Yeah, that was written... it's written that way, freedom of religion. It's written that way because of the influence of the Catholic churches in France and in European countries. Like,
right.
they know how that went. Like, remember the 5th of November? Well, that was same reason that they, like, left the whole fucking country.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it's the whole point, and people love, especially, and you see a lot of it in a lot of atheist circles, you see a lot of it in Christian circles, you see a lot of it in every other circle, where they want to wield the state as a bludgeon against what they don't like. And they ignore the fact that, no, if you support freedom, you support the freedom of people, whether you agree with them, disagree with them, it doesn't matter. And what this is doing is this is specifically attacking a specific religion because this group of politicians didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the difference between sex and rape?
Consent.
Consent, right? I mean, the same. What makes taxation? What makes it theft? Well, there's no consent there, right? And that's what these people, a lot of people don't understand is they say, "Oh, stop pushing your religion on me." Well, get the government out of religion, and you won't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Well, that's what people should start telling statists. Say, don't push your fucking religion on me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I've pulled that on them a couple of times when I've said, "Oh, I'm sorry, does your magic skycloth demand respect?" Oh,
I got something on that. I'll tell you guys afterwards. So anyway, we've been on for over our time now. So.
Shit! Wow.
So yeah, thank you, Dan.
Overtime show.
Yeah, thank you, Dan and Andrew, for joining me tonight, and thank you, Lindsay, for chiming in. You're a peach.
I'm more than happy to bring some boobs to this if there's missing boobs. So.
Well, Derek can make it. So.
Yeah. That's right. We'll see the boobs in the after show. You guys won't get to watch it. So. Yep.
You're welcome.
This has been episode 39. We'll catch you in a couple weeks for the big 4-0.
Oh.
Oh. Right.
Yep.